Okay, everybody, welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. We are continuing our study of the 11th ray, which is also called the Fruits of Belief treatise. And in this, we're only looking at the 11th section, in which Imam Nursi is talking about the fruits of belief in angels. So this comes after our study of the 29th word, which was about angels, immortality of spirit, and resurrection. So we have been sort of over the necessity of angels, why they must exist, how we can confirm that they exist. What does it mean in my life at this moment that angels exist, an angelic side to creation exists, and how can I confirm this? How can I have yaqeen, have certainty in their existence and their connection to me? We also talked about the existence of the hereafter, resurrection, the immortality of spirit. So a lot of what we keep coming back to is, the idea that there is a angelic side to creation. There is a side to creation that is beyond its mere physical qualities, that is speaking to me, that is in communication with me, that touches my spirit, that speaks to my spirit. And this level, this dimension of existence is constantly in communication with me and is showing me the beautiful names of God. And this getting in touch with this side of creation is and should be my number one priority, inshallah. So, as we keep studying angels and fruits of belief in angels, we can renew that intention, inshallah, as Sarah was saying. Make the intention, make the choice that we come to the halaqah, we spend this hour and a half, inshallah, invested, engaged, ready to share reflections and invest in the barakah, the abundance and the blessings that comes from all of us studying together and reflecting together. So in this section specifically, what we've been reading has been about, how belief in angels affects our lives. Some of the things that we looked at were, the existence of angels like Gabriel, Michael, Israfil, and Azrael, and how they can actually comfort me, how I can use them to interpret the signs, the ayat of the Quran and of creation. One thing that, we went over was how, for example, Gabriel and Michael are mentioned together in the Quran, and one represents revelation and the other represents natural order of things in the world, or yeah, let's say that, and how there's a parallel there that we're being told to focus on. And then we talked about how believing in this angelic side of creation, believing that everything has meaning, is laden with this meaning, this wisdom, intention, totally transforms our worldview from something that is chaotic, desolate, evil, corrupt, into something totally different, something light-filled, joyful, wise, ordered, and it can transform our entire worldview and single or singular experiences that we're having, right? One of the things we talked about was how even death has a melekut aspect, has an angelic aspect. So I'll stop there and we're going to continue from this highlighted part today, but I'll open it up for anyone else who would like to share any reflections, and then we can start reading, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Nurbanu. MashaAllah for bringing it all together. I want to share a reminder that was beautifully emphasized by Dr. Yamina last week. And given the state of the world and our lives, the repetition of the Quranic teachings of La ilaha illallah to avoid shirk and to be grateful are indispensable, like Dr. Yamina says, for our well-being. That means a moment of forgetting them is a moment of great oppression to myself. So my takeaways from last week that were very practical, and I believe that they're not emphasized enough in day-to-day or even other teachings, that I don't hear this message often except here. So I would like to take this moment to repeat it. Anytime that we see anyone has any power, the Quran calls that dhulmun azim. Shirk is dhulmun azim, because the minute that I am thinking anyone is powerful and creating I fall prey to this thing. This is my reading my notes from last week with Dr. Yamina, and I think this thing has power over me. So it becomes a source of fear, worry, and anxiety, and everything becomes scary. So we know the purpose of constant istighfar and constant remembrance is so important, because it is the only path to peace. We can't really just start remembering when we have these unchecked worries or fears or anxieties that are stirring and stirring and stirring, that are not actually dealt with. So I felt like a very practical healing strategy that Dr. Yamina offered was to look at your own self, remember your own breath. You can't breathe by your own, and neither can anybody else. So what power do they have? Everything is ordained by the single source of power that is infinite. Everything, the breath and everything. Yes, people have their free will, and even in the slivers of that I see around me is divine plan, which is never absent. So in order to be able to interpret events out there, I have to first and foremost be extremely invested and preoccupied and focused purely on me. I cannot be the one who wants to speak when I speak. I simply want, and the words come out of this instrument with air and vocal cords and perfection given, cared for, sustained, infinite power. I cannot for an instant give myself this breath. I simply need, and it's the entire universe is brought together with infinite power, infinite love, infinite compassion to give me the breath. My eyes want to see so I can navigate and enjoy, and by without any knowledge at all, I receive. this gift and it's taken care of perfectly. And then it even, it's given rest out of this cherishing love at the end of the night to sustain, protect, and provide. And so she was saying last week, if I just focus on myself, everything is just flowing through me. A feeling comes, it comes in and it passes through. A hunger, a thirst, a need to see, a need to be warm, and everything is being taken care of. How much we take that for granted, and then we think that we're doing, and then other people are doing. If I'm the one doing, then other people are doing. So depending on how we see ourselves is how we project that on the world. And the reason why this was so important is because of this dhulmun adhim. If my perspective is not aligned with the Quranic guidance, who's only speaking to me out of love help me to help me not be oppressed and to help me find peace and safety. And when I find this sustainer, so through ubudiyah, through this just watching myself as this little thing that constantly I need to see, I need to hear, I need to speak, I need to drink, I need to eat, I need to clean, I need to take care of. I just constantly need, and the whole body is made يعني سخر. It's subjugated for me. Not even just my body, but the whole universe and all of its laws are subjugated for me. So with that attitude, then she said, gratitude just flows through you effortlessly. How could it not? Right? It's not like, oh, let me think of 5 things to be grateful for. If you just saw yourself for what you truly are, there wouldn't be a moment that you wouldn't be filled with gratitude. It's because we forget to look at ourselves and look at what's happening. You want to move your arm and your whole body is just, and now with this whole AI robotic thing happening, sweeping this new, may Allah protect us all. You see how they try to get these robots to every joint move so fluid, and they still don't look fluid, yani. How much, yani, that's a different subject, but how magical, really, how magically incredible is this existence that we're in, and how little I take note of it. And only when we're in this state of flowing gratitude, which only comes through being mindful of our ubudiyah, or reality of our neediness, and then our Rabb, which is rububiyah, then we can be open. Our hearts are open to inspiration. And so for me, this is a constant need of a reminder because there's so much happening. And if our hearts are not in the right place, then there's no way we're attuned to the right vibration to receive this channel of light and guidance with ease. If there's something inside that's resisting or closed or scared or fearful or worried, then it needs to be tuned to the right, just to be aligned with the reality of who I am. Gratitude flows, and in that state, inspiration comes. And Dr. Yamina, to end, was saying we should become so familiar with this way of being, shukr and hamd, that going out of it becomes unfamiliar. So worry starts to feel unfamiliar, and fear and anxiety is unfamiliar. It's like, oh, no, okay, I notice you coming, trying to disturb my peace. But let us remember the one sustaining us is infinite power, and there's no power but him. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prophet and messenger of God, said, renew your iman, your sense of safety with God, your belief, your awareness, your seeing God with la ilaha illallah. There's no power, there's no source but him. And if truly we knew what that meant, which is what we do here, really unfold and discover the layers of what this even means, we find, inshallah Rahman, deeper and deeper and deeper levels of safety and peace, bi'idhnillah. So the ending note would be make gratitude so familiar that ingratitude feels unfamiliar. And I think we had a couple of beautiful comments last week that took that message home. So Bismillah.
I remember Sister Amina telling us once about Hamd. Like Hamd is already happening. Like when you eat something and your taste buds are enjoying it, they are. It's already being done. But we have the opportunity to take part in that Hamd. So when that happens, when we acknowledge the moment and when we are present in that moment, and are um, we are observing it and being part of it. But we eat and we taste. Taste happens because Allah has made our tongue and our taste buds all are under His amr. So our role is just to be part of it and be present because it's already happening. We can choose to be in tasbih with all other organs and all other malaika that are being given the amr, or we can be turning away from those ayat and be heedless and then miss all the opportunities that Allah is each and every moment He's blessing us with.
Thank you, Ziba, for sharing. Anyone else would like to share? Okay. Before I start reading, I want to say that we had our fourth session in person at the DCA this past Saturday, Living the Quran, and our topic was healing with istighfar, which is something that we have been talking about. And we were able to record the whole session, and the audio quality is really good. So you can listen, you can watch, you can see the ayats that Dr. Amina chose and some of the work that we did on the whiteboard. It was really, really beneficial. So please watch it, listen to it, and if you guys have any reflections, you can always share with us in the weekly contemplation chat, inshallah. Okay.
Also, you can leave comments under the video.
Yes, like, subscribe, comment, share. Let's do our part, inshallah, because we have a valuable message, and we need to share it so that everyone has at least heard it, inshallah. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. All the comparisons and allegories in the Risale-i Nur describe the fruits of belief that pertain to happiness in this world and the next. Such universal, kulli, and major fruits of belief, insofar as they yield eternal happiness and enjoyment of life in this world, indicate that each believer's belief, iman, will blossom into everlasting happiness. Indeed, that they will produce shoots and develop in that way. 5 of those. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. 5 of those numerous universal fruits have been written at the end of the 31st word as fruits of the ascension, and 5 are included as examples in the 5th branch of the 24th word. And just as a reminder, after we finish our study of angels, we will start studying Qadar. So that is on the queue. Okay. So we said at the beginning that each of the pillars of faith have numerous different fruits, even innumerable fruits, and that similarly, a single fruit of the totality of the fruits is vast paradise, another is eternal happiness, while another, and perhaps the sweetest, is the vision of God. Also, in the comparison at the end of the 32nd word, some of the fruits of belief yielding happiness in both worlds, this world and the hereafter, have been well described. Evidence that belief in divine determining, Qadar, yields precious fruits in this world is the widely known proverb, those who believe in divine determining are saved from unhappiness. Man amana bil qadar amina min al qadar. All right. Okay. Two universal fruits of belief in divine determining are explained in the fine comparison at the end of the treatise on divine determining, which is what we will read next, which is about 2 men who enter the lovely garden of a palace. I myself, in my own life, have experienced thousands of times and understood that if one does not believe in divine determining, it destroys the happiness of this worldly life. Whenever, in grievous misfortunes, I looked from the point of view of divine determining, I saw that they were greatly lightened, and I would be astonished at how those who do not believe it can continue to live. One of the universal fruits of the pillars of belief in angels, alluded to in the second station of the 22nd word, is like this. Supplicating Almighty God, Azrael, peace be upon him, said, Your servants will be vexed at me and complain about me when I carry out my duty of seizing the souls of the dying. He was told in reply, I shall make illnesses and calamities avail to your duties, so my servants' complaints will be directed at them and not at you. Just like those veils, Azrael's, peace be upon him, duty is also a veil, so that unjustified complaints are not directed at Almighty God. For not everyone can see the aspects of wisdom, mercy, beauty, and advantage in death. They see its apparent face and start to object and complain. Azrael, peace be upon him, was made a veil so that these unjustified complaints are not directed at the absolutely compassionate one. In exactly the same way, the function of all the angels, indeed of all seeming causes, is to be veils to the dignity of sustainership, rububiyyah, so that in things whose the beauty is not apparent and whose wisdom is not known, the dignity and holiness of divine power and comprehensiveness of divine mercy are preserved, and that divine power is not a target of objections. Also, angels and seeming causes, asbab zahiriya, act as a veil so that in the superficial view, divine power does not appear to be in contact with base, trivial, or cruel things. In reality, of course, No cause has an actual effect or the ability to create, as the stamps of divine unity on all things clearly show, which Risale-i Nur has proved definitively with innumerable evidence. Creation and the giving of existence are unique to him. Causes are merely a veil. Conscious beings like angels, too, do nothing other than kasb, acquisition, as sort of voluntary duty in accordance with their natures, which is small and not creative, and a form of active worship. Okay, I'll read this in sum and then I'll stop. In sum, dignity, izzah, and grandeur, adama, demand that in the view of the mind, causes act as veils to the hand of power, while unity, tawheed, and oneness, ahadiyya, require that causes have no real effects. Thus, angels and the seeming causes, which are employed in good works pertaining to existence, are all means of exonerating power of sustainership, Qudra al-Rabbaniya, or fault and injustice in things whose beauty are not known or seen. Thus, they hallow, takdis, and glorify divine power, Qudra al-Rabbaniya. Okay, that's a lot. Let me stop here. This is one of the most repeated parts of the Risale-i Nur, by the way. This sentence here. Okay, I want to start here because I really like this metaphor of the seed here. Such universal and major fruits of belief, insofar as they yield eternal happiness and enjoyment of life in this world, indicate that each believer's belief, iman, will blossom into everlasting happiness. Indeed, that they will produce shoots and develop in that way. You know, we keep coming back to these metaphors of the seeds and the trees, and they're very rich examples and they're very accessible. We talked a lot about them, especially when we were looking at the Melekut side of creation too. I like here the idea that belief is allowing me to taste its fruit, both in this world and the next. But in the new creation, in the next creation, it blossoms into everlasting happiness. But it's not an empty promise. And this is something that we keep coming back to. And I think that's what, Sarah was saying at the very beginning. If I can actually realize, like, or experience my reality as it is, that is, I am being taken care of, I am being sustained. There is a wise and caring and compassionate one, always in control. If this is how I'm perceiving and living my reality, that is already such a peaceful place to be in. And, she said to make gratitude our familiar place. when we're in that state of receiving and being aware of that receiving, I think that flows very like naturally. And so I really like this emphasis on happiness and enjoyment of life in this world. It's not that I am living a harsh and challenging life here, and someone comes and says to me, "Oh, don't worry, because of all this suffering, you're gonna go to heaven. Just, just, keep being patient and you'll be rewarded for it in the end. Like, don't worry about it." That is not satisfactory. That does not, it totally disregards my feelings. But what I'm being told here is, no, if you really perceive your reality, how you're being created and taken care of and sustained, you will feel happiness and enjoyment in this life. And that will be a little seed, that little like taste of belief, of the fruits of belief. And in the new creation, in the next world, that experience you had here will turn into everlasting happiness. And I just feel like that's such a that's so visceral. Like I just love that. And it's speaking to me here and now. So I'll open that up to for anyone who has anything to say, and then we can continue.
Ziba put a beautiful dua from the Quran that ties into that. She reminds us of the dua, the supplication in the Quran that says, "Our sustainer, give us in this world the most beautiful, and in eternal life the most beautiful. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة." Because the two tie together. And yes, just what you said is the same thing that came to me. It's impossible to be like, oh, you're miserable in this world, but don't get me wrong, this world is exhausting and challenging, and tajruba, the practice place, like we said, and I like the word seed because we taste the blissful reality of having this Rab. And the more that becomes a familiar taste, inshallah. And I don't know. I open this up for Dr. Yamina because I have no idea what it looks like on the other side, but I would hope that even amidst tajruba, this place of calamity, which is promised, and trials and just tribulations as promised for the entirety, the entirety of it. I would hope that this familiar grounding place of knowing the truth of the sustainer being with me now provides shade and respite in the storm, safety, and Dr. Yamina has talked a lot about reassurance, tamatnina, itmitnan. Doesn't mean that the tests all go, like the trials are not there and that life isn't presenting its challenges, but that there is a feeling of being reassured, not alone. And what more does the abd, the most needy being, need other than rahmah, this sense of I'm cared for, I'm safe. In any situation, I think that that's enough. That's why we say hasbunallah, or Allah is kafi, knowing that you have God as your sustainer is truly enough. It's enough to satisfy humans' need for current and eternal peace and safety, I suppose.
Ziba wrote, if we can't testify to the glimpse of it in this world, how do we have yaqeen in what we can't see on the other side of the veil? Yeah, the idea, right? The shahada, the witnessing, and the Quranic way is never to just take things for granted that we have been taught, and always, in the Risale Nur, it's called Tahqiqi Iman. So to confirm, verify, constantly bear witness, which is active, right? That's another thing that we keep emphasizing. It's conscious, it's intentional, it's active. I'm making a choice. I'm not passive in my belief. It's something that, and as Sarah reminded us, I am told to renew. So it's something that needs cultivation. And right, so if I can't testify to it, bear witness to it here, and I'm just saying the words, oh, I believe in angels, I believe in the hereafter, but it's empty, then how can I have satisfaction? How can I have certainty? And how can I expect it to be created again for me if my belief in it initially was totally empty, not substantial at all? And I feel like, in human experience, this is something that we can relate to in, interpersonal relationships even, where if someone doesn't expect well of you or doesn't expect you to do something, doesn't believe you can do something, you will do something. Even if you can do it, you feel less inclined. Like, it might be very easy for you to do the dishes or bake a pie or, anything. But if someone doesn't believe that you can do it or that you will do it because of that lack of faith in you and your ability and whatever, you feel less inclined to do it. So I feel like, even that is a very, very small way of us experiencing the sort of dissonance that we do when it comes to our iman. Oh yeah, I believe in angels, I believe in resurrection, but I'm just saying it and I have um no certainty. I'm just kind of hoping that it is that way. I make it so that I'm not worth the like I'm not worth seeing the new creation of it. So if I can actually bear witness here, then it can blossom into everlasting happiness. If that makes sense.
We had a visual, and we used to do Litara for slides about making the like putting bricks on your Hamd wall. Basically, it was something like we made a visual where each brick had Hamd on it. So the moments where we have tasted and witnessed our Rabb in our lives, and in any way, like it has touched and we have witnessed it, if we can bring that back again and again, so that the next challenge when we face, we have that memory with us. No, this is how my Rabb is, and this is the definition of my Rabb. Like, how am I in this state if I know my Rabb to be the protector? If I've witnessed him being the most generous, if I've witnessed him as the most loving through these past experiences of my life. So I think if we can keep those experiences as our memory, and to go back onto them each time we are challenged. And that's, I think it's more assurance that if I was in a situation like this and this happened because it was not from me or it was not from my friends, that last situation where I could say he is the most merciful or he's the most gracious or he's the most loving, then why am I doubting in this situation? So I think that brings us the previous taste of and the previous testifying of him being of his all beautiful names. It will make it easier for us to have that yaqeen and to lean on him again, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you, Ziba. Yeah, how can I not see him as absolutely merciful here, but then expect mercy later? So I have to confirm and I have to experience, bear witness that he is merciful, the most merciful, the loving here, for it to mean anything later. Dr. Amina, would you like to add anything?
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, yeah, all these points are very important. Certainty, yaqeen, is definitely something to be cultivated. It's a dua that we consciously ask Allah for help. It is cultivated in inner ways and outer ways. So inner, like reflection and paying attention to the response we see in our heart to what we perceive in the outer world, for instance, and cultivating when we find the awe and the gratitude and the appreciation within our souls, then we witness it and we reflect on it and we acknowledge it until it grows like a seed. It grows more and more. So all this and more, many other things, are the inner part of tadabbur and tafakkur, and that looks to iman. And there is also it has to be balanced with outer amal. So amal, taking action, is very important. We are not talking about the doing and claiming to be the doer. Here it's doing in the name of God, acting in the name of God, reflecting in the name of God. Of course, it's going to be degree by degree. The more we let go of our false claims, the more we will be able to give back the amana, the trust, to its real owner. My life and my everything does not belong to me. They belong to my owner, my Rabb. And so this doing, as we learn to do it in this way, as we are taught in the Quran, we are learning to do it in a state of ubudiyah, so that all our doings will become ibadah, including the rituals that are known as ibadah, because otherwise even those rituals will be missing the soul. However, just because without the soul, those acts of worship does not mean that when they are missing the soul, they become like they can't sustain us or cannot satisfy the heart. It doesn't mean that they are not important. They are very extremely important. the fact that Allah has gifted them to us means that they are essential to cultivating that inner awareness, that inner presence, that inner ihsan, living with ubudiyya, consciously in the presence of God. And those, they're like anchors. And so everything else everything that we do that looks like mundane, actually, when the more we learn to do it consciously in the name of God, then they become also acts of worship. So amal is very important. If you go back to the Quran, there are hundreds of ayat with the words amal as a verb, but also as a noun, amal, action, deed. For instance, just like we said, there is in the Quran, lakum lana dinuna wa lakum dinukum waliya dini. Your deen, your way of life, you have your way of life, I have mine. There is also in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, لَنَا أَعْمَالُنَا وَلَكُمْ أَعْمَالُكُمْ. So it's وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُخْلِصُونَ. And we are sincerely, مُخْلِصُون is sincerity, but it's also like 100% for God. There is a conscious worship. And also we are told in the Quran in Surah Al-A'raf, تِلْكُمُ الْجَنَّةُ الَّتِي أُورِثْتُمُوهَا بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. That is the paradise, Jannah, that you were made to inherit because of what, or of what you were doing. Whether it's inner or outer, it's all a doing in a way. And so it's not only information, even the reflection, the feeling it, the staying with the awe is a doing. So there is also in the Quran, there is also وَقُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ. Act, do, like, and say, قُلْ اعْمَلُوا, act, and God will see, will perceive, will behold your amal, your actions, وَرَسُولُهُ, and his messenger, and the believers. And you will be وَسَتُرَدُّونَ إِلَى عَالِمِ الْغَيْبِ وَالشَّهَادَةِ. You will be brought back to the realm of غيب and shahada. فَيُنَبِّئُكُمْ. This is also important. بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. So you will be brought before him, like in the عالم الغيب والشهادة, who he knows all that is beyond. He will make you understand, يُنَبِّئُكُمْ. He will make you aware and understand what you've been doing on earth. So there is an emphasis, if you look at the Quran, on what we do, how we live is very important. And we have to understand that the Sharia al-Qur'aniyya, Sharia that Allah, the way to live in accordance to the teaching of the Quran, it means following divine will. That's what surrender is about. It's like, can you imagine? I want to surrender. I don't know exactly what to do. Alhamdulillah, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, paved path, has been made clear. The Prophet has explained to us and left his sunnah to follow. And there are some very, like, the pillars of Islam, like we have 5 times prayer, perfecting those prayer in a state praying in a state of ubudiyah, remembering God and taking that remembrance the rest of the day, giving charity. For instance, I can say that Allah is all generous, is all the giver, and that if I don't practice charity, that knowing, even if I stay with it and actually witness that how I am being given, and I am really practicing gratitude, if I'm practicing gratitude and seeing, witnessing how he is giving me from everywhere, and I'm still not giving, something is, it means maybe I'm deluding myself. Maybe I'm not really witnessing that he is fully the giver. It means I'm still having fears. I still believe that he is somehow the giver in some things, but not everything. So I have still reservations. That's why I need to make istighfar, ask for forgiveness, tawbah, back to God. And in order to break those unknown reservations, false beliefs, and the fears that come with them, I need to break that by giving, practicing charity. I cannot say once I'll fully feel it, then I will. That time will come, but I need to also do both together. It's like the more we go into prostration during the salat, the more that humility before God is also being cultivated, because we need all of that. We cannot just be saying it and maybe a little bit feeling it. We're not even sure about that. It has to be practiced. For instance, the humility, it needs to be cultivated, and we've been given the words, say good words. And there are lots of blessed words that we know from the tradition that we need, even if in the beginning we're not used to, we need to make ourselves familiar with those blessed words. The words themselves have angelic frequency with them. They do help to heal the heart and the soul, and they strengthen our willingness and our choice and our intention to surrender, to live in surrender, to live in this path, inshallah, to get ready for akhirah. That's how our certainty is going to be cultivated and will increase, inshallah. So the words, being kind, we'll catch ourselves when we make the decision to use those words, to be kind in words. We will start catching ourselves. Sometimes my words may not be very kind. And so this will also bring up opportunities for healing, inshallah, healing from all the illnesses of the heart and the soul, boil down to false beliefs and claims of the ego about myself and about the world. And I give power to something outside of me because I am also imagining myself to be independent of my Rabb. Allah is not my Rabb in some, maybe not in every area of my life, but we want to make that 100%. And so every area of my life is, I can witness and live and experience Rububiyyah, and that Rububiyyah will also, it's how much, to what degree I am certain about it, so that I don't keep forgetting. All those are rahmah. The joy of life will increase, because at the same time, even though, yes, there are lots of hardship and life is not easy, but at the same time it's flowing, it's transient. It seems hard to stay with that gratitude to God and in that witnessing of the most beautiful names, and be just, the soul will or feels joy when it witnesses the beautiful names, the face of God in his creation, within and without. And if there is an emphasis on hardship, it's because we are not aware most of the time that everything is flowing, everything is transient. And so there is this fake, false sense that as if everything is here to stay, and therefore the hardship also seems to be enduring. And we are not created to withstand, to bear with something like that, because that's not the reality. And so lots of small things are there to help us in our path. Everything, small things from the Sunnah, from the Sharia in the Quran, are all there to help us. If we had never seen it, we would not believe that a flower or food or a tree would come out of a seed. It's only after observation that, yeah, there is such a miracle. Someone who works hard, their muscles get stronger. Common sense, if we did not have this observation and this experience, it seems like it should be the other way around. The more you use your body, the more it's going to be weak, because we are comparing with the things that we make. The more you use something, a chair, a car, anything man-made, the more they get old and you have to throw them. But that's not how it works in real life. And so it is, for instance, speaking kindly heals the heart, opens the heart to compassion, to mercy, to love, that we benefit from it, essentially. We become that open channel. And for instance, the way to dress, even in the Quran, the way to walk with humility, it says. The way to dress with humility, with dignity. And the way of the Sharia is, in the beginning, it seems like, how is it related? How is the seed related to the tree? Practice it consciously, and you will start thanking God. Alhamdulillah ala shariat al-Islam. We are being protected from the outer world and from our own nafs al-ammara. Subhanallah, how beautiful this is. So there is the doing is important. And as someone else was saying, maybe Nurbanu, we are active in ubudiyah, active in witnessing the beautiful names of God. And we are accountable for our amal. And amal outwardly, if it is backed up with the inner amal, then it becomes nurun ala nur, light upon light. And it is related also, as it was mentioned in the beginning, with the angel of death. So death of illness or calamities. The text was saying how Allah has put the angels and causes so that people do not directly, they see that, and therefore they do not directly object to God. In reality, we may say, but it does not always happen like that. But that's because we are not honest. People who do that are not honest. And inshallah, we'll see it in Risalat al-Qadr. So we learned, for instance, that causes are apparent. This has been, unless we learn to experience that causes are apparent, it means they are not the creators, the makers, the doers. They do not create any of the results. They are created together with the result. The so-called cause is created together with the effect. Just like I'm created together with the bread I bake. I'm not making it. I don't know how to make it. So when we learn to see causes as apparent, which requires that we have, or which requires, let's say, which happens to the extent that I have given up my own false claim about myself and who I think I am. The less I am the doer in my knowingness, the less I will see things as doers. It means the more I will see the reality as it is, the more I will be able to witness the beautiful names in every cause and effect. So if I am witnessing the beautiful names, then there will be only awe and gratitude. In some, it does not mean that I will be like omniscient and I know the wisdom of everything, and everything that happens I will know. No, because I'm made to know. So in areas, in instances, when I am unable to witness the beautiful names of God, I trust, I surrender, because I know God. I have been experiencing his beautiful names within and without, everywhere. So there is something I can't see. I say, okay, it is my limitation. I do not go and judge God because I know my limitation. I'm aware of it. Now, what we often do is we have not actually confirmed and witnessed that causes are apparent, and therefore that Allah is the one creating every single thing. And so we have not witnessed it, but taqlidan, we know, we have the information. And so with imitative belief, because we are confusing information with belief is what I feel in my heart, not what I claim. I claim everything is that this worldly life is fani, is transient, and akhirah is infinite. What does it mean? It means akhirah is what counts. How do I live my life? The other way around. Okay, it means for me that tells me something about myself. If I am sincere, if I'm honest, then honest with myself, then I say I have to change the way I live, and also I have to, the way I live includes my witnessing, my reflecting, my experiencing, and together with organizing my life so that akhirah is more is prioritized. Both have to happen and balance each other. But let's say if I just shortcut, God creates everything, but I have never really witnessed it. I have not experienced the beautiful names. So I look at illness and I don't like it, objections. I look at wars or earthquake, protest, and I'm outraged. And so what is happening there? We're saying, so shall I, how do you say, ignore the facts? No, it's not about ignoring the facts. Even the outrage is actually a fitri reaction response. It is not an outrage. It is an intense dislike that is fitratan given to us, so that we become aware, and so that we wake up and seek God's help and ask for help and pray. And whether if it does not relate to me directly, I feel it intensely, so that I can pray for others. And maybe if I can do something, it moves me because it's so intense. So the intense dislike, the intense, I need help, something it needs to change. I take it as an outrage because I own it. I appropriate it to myself. I am the one who rejects this. Where is God's objection? So this is hypocrisy. This is dishonesty. This is not authentic. This is not integrity. Because when underneath all this is God creates everything. Where in your life do you see God creating everything? Where are the beautiful names of God? God creating anything is a belief, is a witnessing, is an experience, is a reality. It's not words, empty words. And that's why, again, for ourselves, cultivating that yaqeen in Iman is so important. But I just want to emphasize amal, so that it is not misunderstood. It's not like we're just sitting and reflecting, which again is amal, it's a doing. And also we shouldn't, we are not collecting information. I can collect all the information in the world. It is not going to help me. I can have a banquet full of beautiful food, but if I don't eat, it does not nourish me. It does not nourish my my body. And that eating is the doing, is the reflecting, the inner and outer. I say the words and I don't wait until I have yaqeen. How much yaqeen? We cannot know. So I do repeat the words of istighfar. Morning, evening, I do the hundreds. I do the more you do it, the more you will be, everything will remind you of istighfar. I do say the words, and the more I say the words, if I pay attention, that also will remind me of actually doing the istighfar. And if I feel that, I don't know, am I really doing the istighfar? Okay, that's good too. I realize now that I don't know really what istighfar is. I learn what istighfar is. I learn a little bit, I practice it. اعمل بما تعلم يعلمك الله ما لا تعلم. Act on what you know, Allah will teach you what you don't know. The more I act on the little bit that I know, and the more I repeat the words, and I confirm in my heart and I start taking actions, if I look at my life, I can start here. This could be changed, for instance, as an action of istighfar. I can change my word, I can change my dress, I can change my, I don't know, something in the house, some relationship with someone, whatever. It could be, in the beginning, it's going to be small, but there is nothing too small because there is barakah in it, and Allah will make us the sir, the secret of those blessed words and those blessed actions will start revealing themselves unto us. And the more we renew the willingness, the intention, the choice to follow this path, to surrender, to obey the divine command, to be willing to let go of all what the ego wants to claim for itself, and to fully prostrate ourselves before our Rabb, that He is fully 100% our owner. And whenever I feel like this is mine or that is mine, or why did this happen to me, astaghfirullah again, then the path will be made easier and easier, and it will be more and more joyful, inshallah.
Thank you, Dr. Amina. Would anyone like to add or ask anything? I feel like I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, second that. I put a lot of notes to go back, but it's just so healing. Jazakillah khair, Dr. Amina. It's so comprehensive. It's such a comprehensive way to self-evaluate, diagnose, and heal. And it's so, I mean, mashallah, she said it so, yeah, it's so concise. And so just to repeat a little bit, but I think we should all go back and listen to it again because it was so good. How I react to things is the first step. Like, notice, pay attention to how I'm responding to inside, to the things happening. And that'll tell me a lot about myself. Is there fear, worry, anxiety? Am I believing that I'm angry? Am I rejecting? Why is this happening? Am I objecting? And noticing all of those things that point to illnesses, false beliefs, the real inner just lack of well-being, the inner diseases or inner resistance that needs to be healed. And so how, once you start becoming aware of it, then we focus on istighfar, repenting, seeking God's forgiveness, noticing, because so much of it goes unnoticed and unchecked. And then we believe it as true. We believe, I really feel like I hate this thing and I don't like this thing and I can't believe this thing. And I, not realizing, again, back to that first point from last week, we are just these bodies, and feelings just come right through, and breath just comes right through, and seeing just comes right through. And anything that we're made to intensely dislike is also coming through, so that we turn back. And that I highly urge everybody to go listen to the healing with the istighfar that was done this past weekend in the Diyanet Center that has been posted in our group and on YouTube, as Nurbanu showed, because it's filled with gems. I had to pause it because I'm like, this all has to get written down and studied. Because this is the way to heal. This is the way to finally, once and for all, actually figure out what we're doing wrong in our journey and how to fix it one step at a time, one degree at a time, but in the right direction. I think a lot of times we're doing actions in the wrong direction. Like you're doing the things in the house mindlessly, or you're doing the things quickly, or you're trying to finish the things, or you're watching the things or praying. But how much of that is truly from a place of pure gratitude for being gifted? I mean, not me. So it's a reminder to myself. I'll pause there. Does anybody, I know Maha was saying that somebody was having issues with hearing. Is anyone else having issues with the audio? Please let us know, inshallah, in the chat. And I'll pause now if anybody wants to share, bi'idhnillah, any comments or takeaways or anything.
There's a nasheed that I've been listening to, and I'll share it in the group, the WhatsApp chat, after the halakha ends. It's an adaptation of a poem by the Sufi mystic Niazi Misri, and there's a part in it that I really love where he says multiplicity left and unity came, and there are no bazaars or markets anymore. It's just the truth or haq. And I was thinking about this, and you know what Dr. Yamina said about how the less I appropriate what is happening to myself, the more I will be able to see the actual doer and his beautiful names. And also, the less I will see other things as doers. And you know, some of the conversation that we've been having the past few weeks has been about how destruction is easy and how we can often mistake it for power. But if I'm seeing the actual doer as the only creator, and that is the reality, and I'm perceiving it correctly, then my role in that changes too. But it starts with myself. So, you know, that starts with even trying to own my own feelings, because we like to say, it's my mercy, it's my compassion, it's my feeling for all those people, for all those animals, for all those ... fill in the blank. I have the compassion, I have the mercy, but I'm not the creator of those feelings that I'm being made to feel. And if I put myself in the place I'm supposed to be, then everything else also settles in its place. So I really liked that, you know, distinction and the idea that it's Dr. Amina has said this before, that it's not honest to see something we don't like and say, why is God doing this? Because it's just speaking from script. Because I don't actually experience or witness God creating things, except when it comes to something I don't like, and then I raise my fist and I'm just like, how can you allow this? But that's not my actual experience. So I like this, call to be honest with ourselves and to have integrity. Um, and it connects to this last part that we read, which I think we will read again next week, just because, the section we read was kind of long, so I'll start again at the end here. And we can go over it again because I feel like this part is really rich. One about causality, the place of causes, causal relationships, angels, and then this idea of causes and angels being a veil to the dignity and holiness of divine power, and also being a sort of buffer so that we don't do this thing where we think that divine power is cruel or trivial or chaotic. So it's almost 10. If anyone else has any comments, questions, please go ahead. Let me look at the chat. I just sent the link for the istighfar in the yes, okay. And Dr. Yamina sent the poem. Okay. Cool. And if anyone wants to be added to the WhatsApp group, just shoot us a message. Cool. Okay.
Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Yamina, and also Nurbanu and Sarah for these beautiful nourishments. Jazakumullah khair. I tried a bit of posing, as we said last time, this week, and also remembering that I am totally weak and dependent, and it felt peaceful to the extent I could do, to realize I'm weak and I'm not to do it anyway. Inshallah, we can sustain this, and Jazakumullah khair.
وإياكم. Yeah, the reminder, something that Dr. Amina said at the session on Saturday was, that, for example, for one of the istighfar, Sayyid al-Istighfar, to remind herself, to say it in the morning and evening, she had it printed out and like she put it in her house where she could see it, like morning and evening. And she was saying, we were the ayat about being taught by the pen, and I feel like it kind of corresponds to the conversation we had about action inwards and outwards here. When I want to do something, and this is like not very foreign in our culture, right? Like the sticky notes with the self-affirmations, this is something that we already have. So if I want to have a consistent istighfar practice or reflection practice, tafakkur, meditation practice, I can make changes in my environment that remind me to cultivate those moments or to stop and pause, to take a moment, to take 5 minutes, or to write the istighfar, print it out, post it around my house. These are ways that I can like keep that alive. So it's not just us speaking about things every Tuesday, but there's seeds throughout the week that can, bloom, inshallah. Okay, let's end it here. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة على رسولنا صلوات.